I did a YouTube video not too long ago on emotional manipulation, and I got an email from a friend of mine who said, how can I know that I'm not being emotionally manipulative in my relationships? And I thought, ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to do a video on that. So I wrote a devotional on it, and now I'm going to do a video on it. So yes, if you want to be a healthy person and you want to be healthy in your relationships, you do not want to be emotionally manipulative. And what it means to be emotionally manipulative is that you manipulate somebody's emotions so that you can get your way. In other words, you're making that person or trying to make that person feel a certain way that you know will lead to that person's doing what you want. And of course, we don't want to do that. So how do we do it? How do we make sure we're not emotionally manipulative? Ask directly for what you want. Number one, ask directly. If you want somebody to do something for you, own it. Will you do blank for me? I would like you to do this. Will you do that? You ask, you give the person an opportunity to answer, because emotional manipulators don't ask directly. They manipulate. They're afraid that they're not going to get what they want. They think they have to have it, so they manipulate to make sure that they get it. Opposite of asking directly. The next one is don't threaten that something will happen if the person doesn't do what you want, because that's what manipulators do. They say, okay, do this or else. And then what does that do? That induces fear. If you don't do it, that something bad is going to happen. So that threat is there. Never threaten. Don't say, I want to go to dinner tonight, but if you don't go, I'm going to be really mad at you. Or I want to do this, but if you don't do it with me, I'm going to be resentful. I'm going to not get over it, or I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to treat you the same. If you don't go here, I'm not going to go there. That's manipulative, okay? So don't threaten that something's going to happen if you don't get what you want. The next one is to not use the following things: obligation, guilt, self-pity, helplessness, anger, or pouting if you don't get what you want. So you don't use any of those things. I'm going to read them again. Obligation, guilt, self-pity, helplessness, anger, or pouting. None of those. None of those are to be in your reaction if you don't get what you want. Don't threaten those and don't do those, okay? Because manipulators use all those things to pressure the person to give what is wanted. Next one, do not blame other people for things that you're responsible for. Manipulators do not take responsibility. They blame other people instead of taking full responsibility for themselves. Always take responsibility for what you do, for what you feel, for what you think, for what you choose, for your mistakes, even for the things that you say yes to that you shouldn't have said yes to because you didn't really want to. You're the one who gave in. You're the one that went along with it. Take responsibility for that. And take responsibility for your feelings, because even though another person does something, that doesn't necessarily give you a particular reaction or action. You are still filtered into it with how strongly you respond, how you're feeling that day, how you respond to it, how you react to it. So you're still responsible for your emotions. The other person's responsible for actions. Okay. Lastly, when someone brings up an issue with you, address it. Don't kind of divert. Don't blame, don't switch the subject, don't say, well, you do that too. When a person brings up something that they're upset with or something they need to talk about, ask questions. Tell me more. Help me to understand that. Do reflective listening. I'm hearing you say that you didn't like the way that I talked to you in front of our friends at dinner yesterday. Is that correct? That's reflective listening, okay? So deal directly with what that person is saying, because manipulators do not deal directly with what is said. Manipulators divert, turn it around, blame it on the person, do all kinds of things to prevent what? From being accountable, from being responsible, from having to address what the other person is bringing up. So if you want to not be a manipulator, deal directly with what a person brings up to you when they've got a concern that needs to be dealt with. So those are 5 things. Let me review them. 1, ask directly for what you want. Allow people to say yes or no. 2, do not threaten that something will happen if the person does not do what you want. 3, don't use obligation, guilt, self-pity, helplessness, anger, or pouting to try to pressure the person. 4, don't blame other people for things you are responsible for. And 5, when someone brings up an issue, address it directly. You do all these things and you will not be emotionally manipulative. You will be healthy in your relationships. Here's a couple of scriptures. Psalm 56, verses 5 through 6. All day long they twist my words. They are always plotting to harm me. They conspire, they lurk. They watch my steps, either eager to take my life. That's how it feels if you're dealing with somebody who's emotionally manipulative all the time. Proverbs 16:30. He who winks with his eye is plotting perversity. He who purses his lips is bent on evil. So in other words, there's another motive behind what the person is doing and something they're actually doing that's different than what they're showing you. That's a manipulator. So, okay. Thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship, and I hope you'll go and look. I've got lots of videos on emotional manipulation and abuse, they're tied together, videos on narcissism. Hope you'll watch more, and as always, please write me if you have any questions at all. Love to hear from you. Thank you for watching.